Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to start a very important module for AWS CloudFormation. We are talking about conditions. So you can access AWS documentation with this URL. I will also try to paste this URL in the YouTube video description. So when you access this one, you will be able to access the documentation from here. So CloudFormation, let's discuss about how to define conditions inside CloudFormation template. This is an optional condition section, contains statement that define the circumstances under which entities are created or configured. For example, you can create a condition and associate it with a resource or output so that CloudFormation creates the resource or output only if the particular condition is true. So let's say, for example, you have multiple environments. You can say you have a prod environment and a non-prod environment. So usually what you can do is we want to launch multiple instances. In the non-prod environment, usually we don't want to launch instances of the high specifications, right? We just need a small processing with a small compute with a small memory and depending upon the demonstration purposes or testing purposes. But in the prod environment, we need an instance with a high CPU and high memory and high specifications, you can say. So we can control this resource creation in different environments with the help of conditions. So you let's discuss further how you can define or what is the syntax of condition as we are using YAML. So you can define just like parameters, you can define the conditions block. You then need to define the logical ID of the condition, and then you need to define an intrinsic function for the condition. So let's further break down how this condition actually work. You can control the environment with the help of parameter, okay, which means you have to pass on a parameter to a condition. Now, when you're defining a condition, it is checking that particular parameter. So adding a parameter definition, define the inputs that your condition will evaluate in the parameter section of your template. The conditions evaluate to true or false based on these inputs parameter. For example, you can say if the environment is prod, then do this. If the condition met, or this instance, if condition is non-prod, then use this value. And then add a condition definition. Define condition in the condition section using intrinsic function. For example, if this is prod, or if this value is smaller than 5, you can define whatever conditions you want to define based on your requirement. And the third thing is associate condition with resource or output. You can also say that if that resource is created, then do this job. Reference conditions in resource or outputs using the conditions key and a conditions logical line. You can reference other resource over here. I will give you a more simple example. Let's jump into the Visual Studio Code. So I have made a small change in my bash script. Last time for deployment of my resources, I was just using package.sh and deploy.sh. In this particular script, I have taken the environment input from the developer itself. So instead of doing dot/deploy.sh, I have to define dot/deploy.sh and I need to select UAT or prod. And just in case if you want to learn bash scripting, please let me know in the comments and I will try to make like it's not that much you can say tough language. It's very straightforward, but it's you can say if I go and prepare 4 to 5 hours video, I will try to make a video on that. Anyway, going back to the topic. So this is my template of the confirmation. So what I'm doing over here is this is the template. I have defined this parameter. I am defining environment as a parameter. In the environment, I am using the allowed values are prod or UAT, and by default it is UAT. I'm defining a condition over here. You can see that condition, the name is prod. This is an intrinsic function. What it is doing, if this is prod is equal to, I'm referring to the environment variable. If it is prod, the condition becomes true, then do the job. In this particular example, what I'm actually going to do is I am going to create an IEM resource. I am create a lambda function, and then I am using a condition to create the log group. So in the Lambda function, I'm creating the log groups as well, and I'm using this condition to set the retention period of the logs. So what you can say that if the environment is non-prod, then I want the retention period should be like minimum. It can be 1 day, 2 day, 5 days, 10 days. So I'm using 30. And if environment is prod, then I want the retention period set to 60 days or 2 months. So this is just to cater like differentiate between different environments. So here it is doing as I'm creating a Lambda function. This is the Lambda execution rule which I'm creating. Then I am creating my Lambda function. And just below Lambda function, I'm creating the Lambda log function log group. So by default, the log group name should be AWS Lambda then Lambda name. And here I'm defining retention in days. If this is where I'm defining the condition, if environment is prod, then 60, else 30. If environment condition is what? We have defined is prod is, if you go up, is prod is equal. If environment equals to prod, then it is 60, else choose 30. So this is what exactly it is doing. I'm already in the directory. Then I will be doing dot slash package dot sh. It has compiled the file. All right, successfully compiled. Now I need to go deploy dot sh, and here I am going to define. Let's say I am go and define prod. Here you can see that environment is prod. The stack name is stack with clan demo. Region is AP South is 2. Confirm change set true. This is asking my permission. Disable rollback, I make it false. Deployment of S3 bucket, I'm using this S3 bucket. And here environment is set to as prod. Alright, let's do that. And you can see that it is going to create three resources. One is the Lambda execution role, which is an IAM role, my Lambda function, which is the Lambda function, and the my Lambda log group, which are the log group of this specific Lambda function. So it asking my permission. Let's proceed with yes. As soon as proceed with yes, I go to the GUI of the CloudFormation, and you can see that it has started creating these resources. All right. So you can see that events from here. It has started create in progress Lambda execution role. Let's refresh. That has been created successfully. It is now creating Lambda function. Let me refresh. Lambda is also created successfully. And now it's going to create the log groups. You can see that create in progress. And yep, done. So let me refresh the stack. You can see that it is showing as create complete. Let me go to the resources. I can see that Lambda execution role is created successfully. My Lambda function is created successfully. My main area of concern is my Lambda log group because I have used condition over there. So if I go to this log group, you can see that this is the log group. And here retention is set to 2 months, which is 60 days. So this is how we have used a condition to set the retention period as 2 months. If there is no condition, then usually the CloudFormation or if the log group created, then it will be set as never expire. All right. So which is not always required, and this is not a good practice. You have to limit a resource from the high exponential use. Because if you are using this resource, then of course you are hitting with the cost of that particular resource. So let's do another example. Now I'm going to deploy the same resources with UAT. So what it is happening right now, I'm using the UAT as environment. If you notice the name of the functions and the resources which I'm creating, I'm using environment in the name over here in the role. And if I go down in the Lambda log group, it is again coming as UAT, which means that this is a new stack, completely different with what we have created in the prod. So just by adding environment in the name, it will be create a new stack. So let's deploy the stack. I hope it will start work as expected. I think Stack name remains the same. Okay. Yeah, because stack name is same, that's why it is just going to modify the resources. Okay, let's proceed with deployment and see how this happened. All right. One more thing which I want to show you, because I am going to change the Lambda function name. So what it is going to see, you can see this is replacement is showing here. Replacement means it first delete that resource and then it recreate that resource with a new name. This is all automatic. You don't have to do anything. Just remember this thing. Everything remains the same except it is going to recreate the resources. Okay. So you can see that I'm getting the logs over here. So Lambda execution rule created successfully. Lambda function is just on way. I'm just getting all these events again from the CloudFormation events. So Lambda function created successfully, and now it is log group. This is important thing. Again, I want to check the log groups. So last time it was prod. So basically it has deleted the resources which are not required. So you can see that log group created, and here you can see that the Lambda log group previously it has deleted without like your intervention. Everything, any of the resource that is not required, you can see that 3 resource created and 3 resource deleted. This is the log group which is deleted. This is the Lambda function, it is deleted because this is the thing, because of replacement is required. So if I go back to the browser, let me refresh. You can see that update complete. And if I refresh the resources, you can see that the name has updated from UAT to from prod to UAT. So what I'm going to do, let me cross this one. Let me open this log group. The log group value is very important for us. This is what we have set. So as per condition, the condition is not prod. That's why we have choose 30 days. Let's go back to the VL code. So here the thing is, if environment is prod, this is what we are setting the condition. But when we see this particular log group, retention in days, if environment is prod, the condition is true or false. The condition is false. That's why it choose 30. If condition is true, it choose 60. So I hope the condition concept is now clear to you. And just in case if you have any further queries, please let me know. So this is all about conditions. So thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.